Hey listeners, welcome to Grit and Growth, where we explore what it really takes to achieve excellence in sport, leadership, and everyday life.
We're talking mindset, character, and faith in action. The daily pursuit of becoming your best in every arena.
I'm Justin Simpkins, founder and director of Prairie Hockey Academy, storyteller, passionate about growth, and reader of books on leadership and personal development.
And I'm Shane Sowden, head coach of Briarcrest men's basketball, a mentor to coaches and youth who believes leadership starts with the heart and grows through purpose.
Hey, we've been friends for over 15 years, and this podcast builds on conversations that we've shared with each other and with mentors, coaches, and leaders who have helped shape us along the way.
So get ready to rise to a higher level of excellence.
You're listening to Grit and Growth. Let's dive in. Hey, welcome back to the Grit and Growth Show, everyone. We are excited to welcome back an old guest. A bit of a new format today with a one-part series, bringing back Angus Reid. Now, Angus doesn't need a huge introduction as a former professional football player and now kind of a traveling speaker and author. But today we're going to highlight his new book called Teenager, which I think is extremely timely and really powerful.
Yeah, Justin, Angus brought the energy again today, and it's a book that parents and coaches and athletes need to read. For 30 minutes, we talked about so many pressing issues and how to communicate and help lead and help equip teenagers and parents through those tough teenage years. In a world consumed with the wrong scoreboard and obsessed with winning, he brought it back to what really matters. And such a rich conversation. Appreciate Angus, appreciate what he does, and appreciate people who put out content like him to help others.
Please enjoy today's episode with Angus Reid. Angus, welcome back to the Grit and Growth Show. Thrilled to have you. This is a new episode for us. Unlike the first two-part series we shot with you, where we heard a lot about your heart and what you're doing in coaching and what your passions are. Today we're talking about your new book that you just released before Christmas called Teenager. Welcome here.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Shane. Thanks for having me back, man. It's always a pleasure when you get re-invited somewhere. That speaks volumes of that you actually did something worthy of coming back for another conversation. So thank you for having me back.
Absolutely. I mean, we had a blast with you last time, and I know we talked a lot about your playing career, even just your battle at the start as a young man through some sickness, and then writing Thank You Coach to Coach Dan. There's lots that went on in that, and that was good. But we are thrilled to have you back. I know Shane and I both picked up a copy of Teenager. We've read it. I should give some way here to Shane.
Yeah, like Angus, big thing. I love Thank You Coach. I love the heart behind it. Enjoyed the conversation last time. And I read Teenager over the Christmas break. So why this book and why now?
I think a few reasons. One, I listen, my intro to public speaking was speaking to elementaries and junior highs. That's how it all began 24 years ago now. I was with a group called the Esteem Team, and we would travel Western Canada, going to junior highs and sometimes elementary schools and sometimes high schools, trying to inspire our youth, trying to give them some nuggets, something that they could hang on to and leave realizing, I can do this. I can believe in myself. And I just don't have the ability and time to do that anymore. And I remember that being a real joy of mine to connect with our youth. And now I coach high school sports. So I'm around teenagers pretty much daily. And I have 3 young boys of my own now. So I'm on the back end of realizing the next generation is coming through. And I want to do my part, like we all do, to be of service to them, to do everything possible to help them believe in themselves and not here to tell anybody what to do, to help them figure out what they want to do and, more importantly, who they want to become.
What, I guess, you obviously made a decision that right now is the time to write this book. What are you seeing as you're working with teens and even your young kids? Like, what are you seeing the changes currently as kids are aging into teens that this message was so important?
Well, look, the world is a different place than when we grew up. And I think social media has changed everything, and AI is now changing things more. And I think a lot of us get worried about change. And what I wanted to double down on in this book, and I saw it work with kids, is what are the things that never change? And I want to really focus on the things that are timeless. And so we want to stop looking at what should I do? Where's the economy going? Where's the world going? We as people are still driven by the same fundamental things we always have been. And how do you look inward and realize, well, who are you? And the outlets will always change. And that's why I think trying to choose what to do is kind of silly, because all you're looking for is something that's going to allow you to be you, and something that's going to excite you enough to bring your best, to commit, to go all in. And that can constantly keep changing. And what I realized coaching football is, the same thing Coach Dan kind of taught me. I coach football as a means to help kids grow up, not to teach them how to win a football game. It's just a means. It's just an outlet. It's just a platform to learn who you are, what you're capable of doing, and how you attack life, and how you bring your best to a situation. So when they graduate high school and they go off and find their way, they're armed with real skills, and not blocking, tackling, throwing, running, jumping. The ability to look at things and find reality, to put your emotions aside for a moment and see what's there, to use language appropriately, to work with other people, to try things with confidence and assess what's working and what isn't, and make appropriate adaptations, and all the things that have always been the case. And what's out there is going to change, but it's what you do with it that allows you to, I guess, quote unquote, be successful, whatever we want to define that as.
Angus, I really enjoyed documentaries, and I felt as I was reading this book, you didn't just give a bunch of principles like, hey, this is what you need to focus on, this is what you should be doing. It was very autobiographical, and I enjoyed hearing your story and how you weaved in those principles with the different people that had impacted you, challenges you had gone through. You talk a lot about your family, which I found fascinating. So why'd you choose to do it that way?
Well, Shane, I think some people really like being told what to do. I don't. I don't like someone to feel they're so arrogant that they know what I should do, and another laundry list of 10 things to do to make your life great, or all these things that simplify life into like 5 rules and do this and all is good. I think stories are what moves us, and I think knowledge itself is useless unless there's some sort of inspiration behind it and some sort of deeper understanding of how I can connect it to myself. And there's a reason I wrote a book. Let's be clear. Mm-hmm. Kids and adults don't read enough anymore. And I'll tell you right now, we might be on a podcast, but there's a reason I read more than I listen to podcasts, because it's slower. It's harder. It takes longer to digest. You have to think on it. And so if you want to access information that sticks, it can't be drive-through. It can't be microwaved. You got to take some time. And if I tell a story, it might be enough to bring you in and listen to the story, or read the story, shall we say, and enjoy it enough. But if you lace in, hopefully, principles and lessons without just telling you do this, because, who am I to tell you what to do? You can extract that wisdom from it going, I get this. No, I see what's going on here. And, you try to sneak in the lesson, at the end, so you simplify it. But the story should be engaging enough that you remember the story. And if the story has a lesson wrapped in it, you'll remember it in the moment, and then you might remember it later when you're doing an action. Like, that's kind of like this. Oh, I get it now. And and I know when you've read great stories, or watched great stories, or heard great stories, you remember it 25 different ways throughout your course of your life, going back to it again and again, and it keeps getting a deeper, different meaning. So, on one hand, I got 3 young boys. Mm-hmm. They can read Dad's life when they get older, because it's cooler than me telling it to them, because they don't want to listen to Dad telling them my stupid old stories. Mm-hmm. But if it's a book, that's kind of cool. And if you lace some stories within there that I believe are timeless, that, I was a kid in the 90s, so I don't kind of date it with just what we did then. It's what did you learn that ideally you can still learn today differently. You're going to learn about it doing different actions. Maybe you'll think about it, remember it, and enjoy the story, and take with it going, that kind of makes sense to me. I can do that too. I don't know. That's how I like to learn. So I did it the way I would appreciate understanding and learning.
Yeah. You know what? There's lots of stories in your book. I mean, you don't have to flip 10 pages into it to read kind of why you wrote the book, and hear about this interaction with a former NBA first round pick, Mel Davis, and just how much that floored you. And I felt myself as a young child reading the book again, just thinking of these moments where maybe I had an autographed card. I met a Wayne Gretzky, and he autographed his card, and I would carry that card with me, and in a protective case everywhere I went. Some of that what you talked about with Mel, and just like autographed piece of paper, right? Stories, man. This is how we connect. So I appreciate it. That way.
And thanks, Justin. The point was too, my life isn't exceptional, but everyone's life has these moments that affect you and change you. And I tried to wrap this message again and again in the book. Don't pass those up as nothing. You don't know when inspiration is going to hit. You don't know when you're going to meet somebody that changes everything. For using common lingo, lean into those things. Those are the moments that make you. And I think too many of us are stuck our whole day, heads down, headphones on, and we stop letting the world inspire us because we're too busy consuming nonsense or microwaved information that's just been fed to us through a straw. And you don't know who you might bump into, and you don't know what moment might really inspire and move you to change. If you're too busy, head down, headphones in, and never taking in life, you miss meeting that person, or you miss seeing that moment that go, I'm going to play football now. Like, that was incredible what I just witnessed, and I felt I want to do something now. And I think we have to be very careful because this world is full of stimulus, but not many of it is authentic anymore. And it's those moments of, randomly meeting someone you never could have imagined. I think I wrapped the book up pretty good in the end, going, now it's time, once you achieve things and become somebody, make sure you're feeding that to everyone else. Is what I try to do now as a coach. Coaching football, honestly, it's pretty easy. Helping people grow up is the real joy, that you're trying to be somebody that's giving them moments that they don't just remember, they use. They allow to shape them and help give that energy to do what they didn't think they could do or wouldn't have had the courage to do if they didn't have that moment, that interaction, that experience.
Mm-hmm. The book is called Teenager, and the subheading says a story about finding your way. And, so you're obviously giving a little bit of a glimpse into, well, where's this book headed? Again, if you could just delve deeper into why that subheading and why the purpose of the book in your interactions with your own kids, teenagers.
Yeah, I think, well, look, again, I'm around teenagers. My boys are 10, 7, and 1. So they're not there yet. So I'm kind of seeing it from both ends. I'm seeing 16, 17-year-olds looking at the future. Some of them, are excited. And a lot of them are scared and nervous. They just have no idea how to navigate a world that us as adults don't know, right? But I see my kids already now getting to the age where they're starting to consume what's getting thrown at them, which is shaping them. And you start hitting that age where a lot of what's shaping them is not me anymore, because they're at school now and they come home with words that, where'd you hear that from, and actions. And so, you need to find your way. And what's happening, I find, and probably happened with us too, a lot of us let just the world randomly shape us. And I want to help people realize this is your life. You need to start making choices of who you want to be, and start being very conscious of the people that you want to shape you, the messaging you want to shape you. The things you read and watch and listen to are going to shape you. But to find your way, decide who you want to become, and do everything you can to be intentional about what you're allowing to feed you, right? And so finding your way for me was, we talked about my story before. I'm not a football prodigy. I didn't even play till the 11th grade. I was lost through most of high school. I mean, I had a real sickness with my appendix when I blew in high school, lost a lot of that year when I came back, didn't really have friends, didn't know what to do. If we had the internet back then, I probably would have just sat on my device and looked at it all day. We had TV, so that's what I did. Either way, I was wasting time. Like a lot of kids, you don't know what to do. And again, the book isn't about football. That's just what I chose. It was sooner or later, you got to make a decision. You're going to do something with your life. And who knows what you should do, but you got to start doing. So you got to pick something, an outlet that ideally is not negative, and it's positive in some realm that fits parameters that excite you enough that you're going to commit, and learn to commit to something. I think one of the greatest troubles in our world today is people lack real commitment. They're always hedging and trying to do 5 things, waiting for the easiest way to make it fast. And how do I get the shortcut? And everything is a life hack, and everyone's looking to skip. Just dive into something. But what if I'm wrong? Then you change, but you understand what it means to commit. But it doesn't mean it's wrong because it's hard, or you're not good right away, or it's not easy. And I committed to football in the 11th grade, and I was terrible, guys. Like, I was like anyone that shows up without, Bo Jackson-like skills. It's hard. And you make a decision then. I'm going to get good at this. I'm going to listen to coaches and find the ones that I like to listen to and stick to them like glue. I'm going to seek out the kids that are really good at this game and are nice enough to let me hang out with them and become friends with these people. Do what they do. And I learned then it's not going to happen tomorrow, but we're going to get a little better at what I decide to get better at. Because you know what you're learning then, Shane? You're learning how to get better. It's not learning how to lift more or play football. You start learning the process of how to get better. And you start accepting that it's not a get good fast scheme. It's life. And that's finding your way. And so if football didn't make it for me, I would have had those building blocks to do something else, knowing you commit. You find out who you want to surround yourself with. You find the right people to listen to as coaches and mentors. And you put in that work every single day. And you know, I think I say it in the book too, there's a difference now between changing and quitting. You can change anytime knowing this isn't working, but you know where you want to do, than just quitting because it's hard. It's not fun because it's not easy. And I think we really got to teach our kids.
Yeah, I mean, talk to me about that, because I think even in your first couple of chapters, there's a story about this. Football was hard, and you're like, I'm done. I'm quitting. I'm out.
Listen, like my brothers played football, and my brothers played all kinds of sports. So I looked up wanting to be like them.
Yeah.
And it was fun when we played in the backyard with my buddies, and we just threw the ball around. And then I go out for grade 8 football, and I'm a big chubby kid. So, you know, I had brothers that played. So maybe there was expectations, but I think most of those expectations I put on myself. I got to be great at this. And I sucked. That was terrible. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even know how to put on the equipment right. And everything was hard. It was hard right away, because football's an awkward sport, just like a lot of sports are that aren't natural, which not many are.
Big pads and the helmet, and you're trying to run for the first
time. And they're using words I don't understand. And so right away, it wasn't easy. So this is hard. So this sucks. And it was difficult, and it's humbling. And, you know, to be 13 and be humbled isn't fun, particularly if you we're used to life being pretty fun. And I was a lucky kid. Life was kind of fun up till then. And now this is going to be hard, which is going to require work. But I ran from that. I quit when it got hard. And then I got sick and all those other things. And then it compounded, and you learn quickly. And I think I put it in the book. Quitting is easy, but it never makes anything easier. And I think what you have to make sure is that first sign of resistance just means it's now time to get better. It doesn't mean it's time to run. And that's why changing and quitting is different. You got to learn and mature yourself to realize, is this something I really want to keep working towards, or is it not? Or is it just hard? And we got to separate the two things, because anything worth doing is going to be hard. So, you got to learn to work, and then you can decide to choose what. But if you just pick what's easy right away, one, you're going to limit yourself. And I guarantee you'll never explore your potential of who you can become. And you'll wake up one day wishing you could do it. It'll be too late, because you've set ceilings of your comfort zone that are probably going to be too hard to break through.
Right. So talk to me about this. I think, I had the opportunity to work with teenagers today, and then my children are, 11, 8, and 5. And, so we're in this space where, even as my 11-year-old you're creeping up to a little bit more of the comparison side. And our teenagers, for sure, as I work with, we're constantly in that. And it's like, we don't have an app for that shortcut, that life hack, how to quickly get better, because my teammate is, though, and he's going here next year. What am I supposed to tell people I'm doing next year?
Yeah.
And I feel like I get these questions, and I wrestle with these young men about this. And, I guess part of me would be, how are you answering, what are you saying to those teenagers? Because essentially they're asking, like, how do I find my way?
Yeah.
Because when I look around, there's a couple of Bo Jacksons here.
And here's listen, I just came back from a corporate talk last week. I say the same things to high achieving business people, but the same thing I say to our youth. To me, there's only two questions that matter that you have to answer. And as parents, as teachers, we have to actually make these real. Okay? Was that your best? Have you brought your best? We won the game. Not what I asked. I was better than those guys. I got the All-Star. Yeah, it's irrelevant. Those are externals that other people chose. That was it your best? And here's the thing, Justin and Shane.
Yeah.
We don't grow up in a world that makes that easy to do. We get graded by others. We grow up in a world thinking, I did good, I got a B on my test. Was that your best? I got a B, not the question. We are raised in a world that you win because somebody gave you the trophy, or you scored more points than the other person, which makes you the winner. So I'm great. Was it your best? Who knows? Who cares? I got the salary. I got drafted number 1. How are you bringing your best? We don't even know how to gauge that. We just know we're better than the other person, or that other person is better than me. And so we feel good or bad based on other people, or what coach said. Coach said I played poorly. What do you think? He said I played poorly. They don't even know how to gauge themselves because we're always waiting for the grade we get. We're waiting for the public approval. We're waiting for the 10,000 likes on Instagram or the 10,000 boos to see if that was a good picture or not, or whatever. And so we try to really install with the kids internally navigating your best. What does that mean? And it's hard for people because, coach, how did I play? I won't tell them. Not first. What do you think? And they're waiting for me. I'm like, you did it. You played. What do you think of it? I think I played really well. Yeah, you did. But I missed some blocks. We didn't score. That's okay. Those are outcomes that we can work with. Are you proud of it? Was that your best? There's no greater win than that. Like if you're proud of what you've done and that was your very best, those are the two things that I really care about. Not am I proud of you. Oh, and it's just, I'll tell you as parents, we got to stop letting the kids wait for us to tell them we're proud of them. Then they feel good. If they don't hear it from us, they don't feel good about what they did. We tell them they got to be proud of themselves. And then, of course, we're always proud of you. Don't worry about that. Yeah. Are you proud of what you did out there? Yes. But he's better than me. Who cares? He's worse than you. Who cares? The greatest win in the world is becoming your best, like by doing your best. And that allows you to be proud of your effort. You win some, you lose some, you don't make it pro. Those are things that are relative to what else is happening in the world. What isn't relative is bringing your best and being proud of who you are. That's a universal characteristic that you'll never hit middle age with regrets or wishing you brought more. You can be really satisfied and proud of who you are. And I think that's a tough thing for people to navigate if they're not taught that, if they're not reinforced that, because winning means being better than someone that you're around. And that's really relative to that year, that competition, your geography, all kinds of parameters. And it does nothing to do with bringing your best. And does nothing, and then you become proud because you were better than somebody else. And that's a losing game in the long run.
Right. And you become proud because you were better than somebody else. So that
then you're not proud because you weren't better than the next guy. Like you can't, it's a treadmill that's going to wreck you.
Right. So before you get to question 2, because I know you said you had 2 kind of questions that I asked, I'd be curious, if an athlete says to you, through some stuff, hey, well, actually wasn't my best. I was whatever. How are you being curious? What kind of questions are you following up with to help them reflect on what distractions or what it was, the reason they didn't bring their best?
I think, especially with teenagers, I don't think you barrel in and try to tell them anything. You just dig deeper. Talk to me about that. Why do you think so? And give them that reflection space, because it's too easy for them to look outwards. Well, the guy beat me. He was better than me. That's got nothing to do with your best. That's got to do with that person. Like and I don't think kids have the space to think that through. Most adults don't, to really just process. It's okay. That's that. We're talking about you here. And I'll give you a simple thing that I do to, when we're in football practice, one of the most competitive drills we have is just with the lineman is a one-on-one pass rush. So the offensive lineman is trying to pass block against the defense lineman. He's trying to stop him from beating him, right? And it's pretty clear cut who wins. And it's a highly stressful drill because everyone's watching the one player. And you get nervous. So what happens when you get nervous? You probably don't do your technique. You just try not to lose. You don't want to lose because it's competitive. And I've tried to shift that now lately, saying, listen, the goal of this drill is not to beat the other person. The goal of this drill is to have a plan of how you want to set, where your eyes want to be, where your hand goes, and jam there and react and, have a plan. And if you do your plan, that's the win. That's all we're trying to do here. And it's funny because once they believe me that that's what we're doing, they actually work their technique, what they wanted to. And the win is doing what your plan. That guy beat you. He's got his plan. Whatever. Yeah. We're just trying to get better here. And it's fascinating when they actually are able to relax and realize, but I have to beat them. No, you have to do what you're here to do. That's winning. And over the long haul, you become better. If you start now trying to beat the other person, you lose track of what we're really trying to do here. You stop trying to get better. You're just trying not to lose. And the stress is incredible and you never enjoy it. And so we as coaches, I think, need to shift. Of course, we're always trying to win the game from our perspective, and they understand that the game is a great way to test where you're at relative. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's not the ultimate decider of your worth, of how you should be proud of what you've done, and to look back and realize I brought my best. And again, I think it's hard for kids to navigate that. They need someone to tell them how they did. And I don't let them do that anymore. I want you to tell me how you think you did. We'll fix errors. I mean, that's easy. But was that your best? Because you and I guys know if that was your best, there's nothing more you can do. If it wasn't your best and you won, that might haunt you. But we beat everybody. It wasn't my best, though, and you knew it. And you knew it. And here's the thing. You start getting better at not bringing your best. You get better at just being better than everyone around you. And that's a dangerous setup.
Don't we see this in team play often?
Everywhere.
We see a team that we know has, they're 10-1 on the score, whatever it is, and they play somebody who's not that good. And there's this concept that coach always talk about, oh, we just played to their level.
Yes.
Right. We did.
And I'm a football guy. So you look at a guy like Nick Saban and, you played the Alabama standard, regardless of who you're playing. And I got asked after our BC finals by an interviewer, like, it was the fourth quarter and we subbed guys out. Obviously, we were winning by a lot, but they're like, the quality of your play never let up. And I said, look, we don't coach fourth quarter football. We don't coach winning by 40 football. And we don't coach 5 minutes left football. We coach football one way. There is no a variable standard. They just do their best because we don't have situational when to bring your best and when not to, because that reinforces that your best is only needed when it's needed, and that trains you to not always bring it. And to me, whatever you're choosing, you bring your best and you do it the right way. You can be proud of that. If being proud means you won or lost, that's a really, really stressful life now to be in that judgment world. And again, unfortunately, with social media, they're getting ripped by people all over the place because they lost the game, and they let that feed what their value is, their worth, and how they feel about themselves. And that's really hard.
Yeah.
Your value's got to come internally. And I think that's the biggest message as coaches that have sway over our players or some sort of ability to have some influence, that of course we go out to win the game because that's what we're here to do. But how we do that is bringing your best. And at the end of the day, that's where your value lies, and your pride and your appreciation is you brought your best. That's why you should be proud of yourself. And that's what we're proud of.
Well, and not only as players, but as coaches, like Angus, thank you. You just reminded me today, did I bring my best as a coach, regardless of the results?
Yeah.
Right. And how could our drive home with our kids, our one-on-one conversations with our players, so even as a parent, as a coach, it could just transform everything in so many ways if we just, on the way home, hey, son, did you give your best today? Well, yeah, Dad, but, or no, and then become masters at becoming curious.
Absolutely.
Instead of telling people what you think they should do.
And it's hard with youth, and it's just like it's hard with adults. Bring your best can be this vague, difficult to pin down notion. So again, like you said, Shane, be curious. Tell me about that. Like, why do you feel that way? Well, you get examples out of it, because I think it is also important to realize what the best means in a way that's tangible, that's real. We when we were down, I kept making sure we kept everyone positive, and we focused on our actions, not on the scoreboard. There was a mistake over here, so we did everything we could to make sure that they weren't getting down too. All the things to make it so. That's what that means. I thought it meant winning by 50. Like, no, that just means you put more points on the board than someone else. That doesn't mean you're best at all. Those are, and I think you're right, Shane. Be curious, and you start compounding with kids all the ways that putting your best really means. And we don't even focus on the outcomes of scores and variables that have way too many things outside of bringing your best control. And that's what I think eventually will shift the mindset. If it's never ending, oh, that's what I get praised for. That's what I'm getting rewarded for. This is what matters. They won't believe you if you say it once. It has to be really what we're getting ice cream for after the game.
Yeah.
Because you guys brought it. At a level that you should be so proud. Not because we won by 50. Because if we don't win by 50 and we don't get ice cream, then just winning was what matters. And so they start cheating, lying, and stealing to win, because that's why Daddy's proud of me. And that's dangerous.
That's not good. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Well, now I'm on the edge of my seat. So that's question one. And there's lots of depth there.
I answered the other question. I'm sorry. I did answer it. So listen, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Did you bring your best?
Right.
Are you proud of yourself?
Are you proud of yourself? Yes.
Because
beautiful.
And I'm telling you, that's a magic question for kids and a magic statement to tell them. Whether you guys are coaching hockey or basketball or football, when they do something on the field, I now run up to them and I show them what they did. See what you just did right there? You should be very proud of yourself. And they're looking at me. I'm like, look, don't worry about me. I'm always proud of you. You don't need that. You see what you did, and you understand why. And they look you in the eye. You need to be proud of what you've done there. You get that? Yes. Irrelevant of anything else that's going on, you got to be proud of what you've done, and you know why. Yeah, coach. And they feel good. I'm going, you need to learn to be proud of your own work without the world telling you it was good or bad. You need to know this. And so, was it your best? Are you proud of yourself? If you ask that in your business one-on-one meetings, people, they go, well, look, my numbers are great this quarter. Not my question. Was it your very best? And let them sit on it. And Shane, look, to be honest, most of us, the answer is no. We could always bring more, but they start realizing this is the target, your best, not the points, not the all-stars, not the awards. Those are just things that come and go. And we celebrate them. We cheer. It's great. It's wonderful. There's not poo-pooing any of that stuff. It's great. But the focus is always on your best. And are you proud of yourself? Then if you're doing that, you should be enjoying the experience now. The stress is gone because the only stress is going, it wasn't my best. But you can fix that right now. Then what can I do to help make sure we do that? Oh, coach, I just need a little more reminders. Perfect. I'm happy to hear. I just want to help you bring your best because that will equate to being proud of yourself. I don't know one person that truly knew they brought their best that wasn't proud. And one equals the other. But I know a lot of people that at the end of the day, they got every trophy, every reward, but they know they could have been better. And sooner or later that bugs them. And they're like, I was just better than everyone around me. They didn't know it, right? So did you bring your best and are you proud of yourself? And to me, that's a life that no matter what goes on in the world, you sleep well. You'll solve problems. Like you're okay. And that's a skill now. To bring your best is a skill you got to learn. It's a skill.
Yeah. It's you say it yourself in your own life growing up of, having this fear of never being enough.
Yeah.
I get the sense that, applying a framework like this as a teenager and maybe as a coach or an educator with teenagers is really going to help affirm and also remove some of this fear of not being enough. If we can.
Yeah, we're on two sides of the spectrum, right? When we talk about athletes now at teenage level, some of them are trying to be high achievers and they're high achievers. And so they never feel they're enough because they're not winning enough, right? And then we have the other side of the spectrum that kids are too scared to even try anything. And they're so down in the dumps because they think they're worthless. So, you deal with the ones that, I don't think I'm ever enough. And you're looking like, there's nothing, like you realize what you're doing here is incredible. And they can't even acknowledge that. And there's other ones that you're trying to even get going because they won't even start because they just don't have the confidence to even do anything. And I've been on both sides of that equation. And I think at the end of the day, the most important thing anybody can have, but way more so as a teenager, is to have healthy courage. Not crazy courage that's just, double dog dared, because that comes from insecurity, right? I prove I can do stuff. I'll do wild things here, so I'm somebody. That proper courage to believe in themselves enough to do what they really want to do, but they never would because they're either too scared of failing or getting laughed at or not thinking they can win, going, but that's just who I am. And this is why I will do. And I think as adults, the most powerful thing we can give to our kids is to get them to believe in themselves enough to have that healthy courage, not the crazy courage, not the insecure courage, because they got to prove, you don't have to prove anything, but you do have to do something. And what you do is up to you, and how you do it is up to you. Have the courage to decide, I'm going to want to be my best, and pick an outlet that makes sense to you, that will support you doing that, not for anybody else but you. See, that immature and the immature courage does it to prove to the world there's somebody. And I've been there. I thought I needed to be somebody in my family. And you get to that mature courage that you can learn at any age. I'm doing this so I can be proud of who I am because I brought my best to something. And we didn't win one game and I never got in the field, but I brought my best and I'm really proud of who I am. That's when you're winning. That's when the world can't beat you down. That's when you're good with who you are in this place and you don't have regrets.
Yeah. Well, Angus, more people need to read your book. I'm curious, what's been the response from people? It's been out a few months now. What's been the response for people who have read it?
I think it's been very humbling to me because, I've done a lot of team talks where the teams will get a copy for everybody and I'll come online and talk and, kind of do what I used to do, but leave them. And you never know if the teams are actually going to read it. They listen to me. And it's been fascinating to hear feedback from kids themselves, but a lot of the parents.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's from like female volleyball players, and they read it and they're like, wow, they now believe in themselves more, or they didn't, and a message I like to have, and I think I'm getting a lot of feedback from this. Wow, they're not alone with how they're feeling right now. And I think one of the big messages of my book was, I wanted to give some insights and some ideas that hopefully anchor you, but I want to be a companion, because a lot of kids and a lot of adults don't talk about their fears. We hide them and we pretend it's all good. And deep down, they're insecure. We don't know. And I wanted to be like this companion guy that gently puts my arm around you going, I've been there too. We've all been there. This is not a you thing. This is a human thing. This is a growing up thing. This is a person thing where we're always questioning, am I enough? Do I know what I'm doing? So my book is wrapped around with, my insecurities throughout. So everyone reading going, wow, he was like that too. I thought I was the only one that didn't think I was worth this, because worth it, because that's not something we talk about. We put on the strong front, which to me is incredibly stressful. And so I've had great feedback from people that loved it, I think, or they say they do, but really a lot of them were saying, you've given me an extra belief that I can get this done. I just didn't know if I could, but I'm going back harder tomorrow because it's worth it. You know why, guys? Because they're worth it. We're worth it. Your best is worth it. You're worth your best.
And teaching kids to learn what that means, and then to be proud of themselves, is worth it.
Yes. To move it away from winning and losing from a world perspective to winning is doing something that you believe in and bringing your very best to it and being proud of what you've done. That's it.
100%. I mean, Shane and I tend to call it significance over success. We came up with this term, which
I love it.
But I think, in wrapping up, I guess, Angus, I'd say, if you were, just for our listeners, to boil teenager down to one message that you want every reader, whether that's a teen or an adult, to walk away with, what would it be?
Each and every one of you are worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And living is doing, though. So the only way you learn you're worth it is by choosing something that excites you enough to bring your very best, and then bring your very best to learn what that is, so you can be proud of who you are, and then you'll be ready for life.
Awesome. It's a powerful message. Angus, thank you for the message today and for your time. Where can our listeners get a copy of Teenager, or learn a little bit more about even having you take part in maybe a team conversation?
For one-on-one retail, Amazon is your easiest outlet. But if you go to my website, angusreid.ca, there's a whole page for the book where, we do team orders where I'll come online, or if I'm in the area and I can come talk to the team or the group, and we can do team orders that way. So those are probably the two easiest ways. And my usual social media feeds. I mean, if you get a hold of me, we'll always make it happen. I'm here to help any way I can.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Appreciate you today. We will get the news out. Listeners, thank you for the time to join us with Angus Reid today. If you're looking for somebody that can come in and speak to your team, or a book that you can give to a teen that you have in your house, I would just highly encourage you to pick up the book Teenager by Angus Reid today. And just remember that you're worth it, and just start helping other people understand what it means to bring their best and be proud of the effort they put in. Thanks for listening today. Thanks so much for listening to Grit and Growth.
Yeah, hey, if you enjoyed that episode, it would mean a lot to us if you shared it with a friend, a teammate, a family member, or just left us a quick review wherever you listen. That's how we reach more people and keep great guests coming your way.
Yeah, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe so you don't miss future episodes with incredible guests and real stories that'll change and inspire you.
And until next time, stay curious, stay humble, and keep growing.